What's going on, guys? My name's Jake and welcome back to Game Domain. Today, we are bringing you a different type of video. We will be collaborating with YouTubers Nin10doland, Dafawfulizer, and a member of our Discord server. We will all be ranking our least favorite to favorite Mario RPGs. And since not everyone has played all of them, they will only be ranking the games that they have played. Or should I say, Domain76, who is the writer, has played all of them. So I will be ranking every one. And let me reiterate, as I do with most videos, this is opinionated. We're not trying to be as objective as possible. There's more than great likelihood that you will disagree, and that's fine. Let us know your opinions in the comments, but if you start commenting saying that the opinion is wrong, or get angry because some guy on YouTube has a different opinion on a video game than you, I recommend you don't watch the video. If you are a person who understands what an opinion is, then I hope you enjoy.
Hey guys, it's Dafawfulizer here. For those who don't know, I've got a YouTube channel where I make top 10s about video games. What sets my channel apart from most, aside from my compulsive need to shoehorn Danganronpa into everything, and my borderline disturbing hatred for the meat circus, is the fact that I often talk about lesser-known indie titles that most people haven't heard of. Although, I do talk about popular games as well, as you're about to see right here. I've always loved the Mario RPGs, and I even did a list ranking them a couple years back. I wouldn't recommend watching it. Instead, you can watch me rank them all for you right here and now. And if you like my style, be sure to head over to my channel and subscribe. In case you're wondering, I edited my own audio here, and Game Domain edited the video.
What's up guys, Landon from Nin10doland here, and if you're new to my channel, I'm pretty much what my name implies, Nintendo everything. I cover all kinds of topics from gameplays, top 10s, discussions, almost anything you can think of, although I would consider myself mostly a heavy Mario guy, so expect anything and everything Mario to be covered here on the channel. So of course, when it comes to Mario RPGs, I couldn't be any more excited to cover them with you guys.
Let's start with the worst Mario RPG at number 12, Sticker Star for the 3DS. If you've played any of the Paper Mario games, you're already familiar with the basic concept. The Mushroom Kingdom is made entirely out of paper and cardboard when the series first launched. I thought it was funny that, in this new world of believable 3D video game graphics, Nintendo was finding a way to incorporate 2D graphics again. What I realized, though, is how the decision to make everything out of paper actually creates a ton of clever mechanics. Sticker Star's clever mechanic is based around, you guessed it, stickers. Sticker Star sees you fighting Bowser as Mario again, but now, you get the use of stickers that you uncover throughout the game. You can use them both in battles and in exploring the world in really creative ways. Too creative sometimes. That was my big problem with Sticker Star. It's hardly what I would call intuitive. It can be challenging to know when to use a sticker, or which sticker to use in the first place. Most of the time, it was highly rewarding when I did figure it out, but it was definitely frustrating at times. Sometimes you would have to go to random levels just to get things. Yeah, that's the actual name. And then go back to the level to use it to advance. Without using a guide or watching a video, this could literally take hours to do. The fights aren't much better either. Unlike previous Mario games, even Super Mario, which didn't have turn-based fights, there was still a reward for combat encounters. There's really no reason to get into fights. The levels look nice, but besides one or maybe two levels, there is nothing even remotely unique. You have your one-on-one style level, snow levels, a jungle, etc. And besides nice scenery, there's nothing good about this game. It's just awful. Even the soundtrack, which Mario RPGs are known for, is subpar. This has a couple catchy tunes, but that's it. There is also no incentive to battle. You don't level up or anything, you just lose stickers. I got Sticker Star for $10 back in 2014, so you may be able to find it cheaper now. And for that price, I could recommend only if you really like Mario RPGs and just want to experience the game for yourself.
Paper Mario Sticker Star may not be my least favorite game of all time, but it's in the top 5. Not only that, but when it comes to games that ruined their respective series, this one reigns supreme. I've ranted about this game almost as much as I've ranted about the Meat Circus, so I'll just give you the Cliff Notes version. Besides, you probably already know why this game sucks. The complete lack of a story when other Paper Mario games had great ones, the awful battle system that made regular encounters pointless, the beyond confusing navigation, the generic worlds. Let's be real, you've heard this all before, so let's not waste any more time with it.
Mario & Luigi Paper Jam to me was a massive disappointment, and yes, I thought it was worse than Sticker Star. When I play Mario RPGs, I love to get invested into the wacky and goofy worlds that the stories bring, and go outside of the Mushroom Kingdom from time to time in a story that can change things up from the norm, and Paper Jam just doesn't do any of that. Every character, a toad. Every mission, collecting toads. Shoot, even the last Bros move you learn is a bunch of toads. That's overall no character diversity, and the antagonist is once again Bowser, and Paper Bowser. And the story is incredibly basic and uninspiring to me, unlike its four predecessors.
Number 11. Mario & Luigi Paper Jam. Paper Jam starts off with Luigi accidentally opening a book, and all the characters from the paper or storybook would fly out and land all over the Mushroom Kingdom. In Paper Jam, you control Mario, Luigi, and this time Paper Mario. Paper Jam isn't a bad game. The combat is fun and the new paper abilities work pretty well, but the papercraft battles get pretty boring after the first couple fights. It gets pretty repetitive, and really all you do is just bash into enemies. Like the newest Paper Mario games, there are almost no new characters or new environments. The worst offender in Paper Jam isn't either of those, but Toad Hide and Seek. These are a lot like finding bugs in Twilight Princess. You have to do these to advance, and that is just running around to find toads. Paper Jam is literally just Sticker Star for the Mario and Luigi series, in different ways. No interesting story or characters, no new scenery, and overall, just pretty uninspired.
Now, Paper Mario Sticker Star is the only bad game on this list, but Mario & Luigi Paper Jam is by no means a masterpiece. It felt like if it took the Mario & Luigi series and sucked the soul out of it. There were good parts for sure. The new mechanics that Paper Mario added to the battle system were fun, the bosses were pretty good, and believe it or not, I actually enjoyed the Toad gathering missions. Some of them at least. Also, they finally fixed the tutorials. That was probably the biggest problem with the Mario & Luigi series, and this game fixed it. That's about where the good stuff runs out, though. The reason I say this was Mario & Luigi without a soul is because it felt like they were trying to make the game as generic as possible. Starlo is the only character who isn't from mainline Mario, and every area follows the generic New Super Mario Bros. Themes with no variations to make them unique. Oh boy, I sure can't wait to go through grass, desert, forest, beach, snow, and Bowser's lava-filled castle. How original! Not only that, but making us go through each of these areas twice was a borderline war crime. Also, the papercraft battles sucked. I'm not gonna act like the giant battles in Dream Team and Bowser's Inside Story were that special gameplay-wise, but they had a sense of scale to them that made them feel epic. The papercraft battles, on the other hand, are stupid. Oh look, I'm going to throw this giant cardboard figure at this other cardboard figure and see who wins. That sure beats taking on living castles and using entire enemies as weapons, doesn't it? Overall, Paper Jam's not bad, but it is mediocre.
Still at the bottom of the heap, we have Paper Mario Sticker Star. I actually was one of the few people that thought this game was not completely awful. I found entertaining gameplay in some of its more joyous levels, like the creepy Ignig Mansion. I had to place this one lower, however, just because of the vast amount of content that the previous games brought to the table. Just like Paper Jam, this game unfortunately suffered from the Toad epidemic, and just flooded them in any scene they felt necessary. The story was just basic, and the different world themes that stuck to the same lava jungle snow troop didn't help to that at all. However, the music was really good in some instances, such as the Snowfall and the Tower Power Pokey theme.
Number 10. Color Splash for the Wii U. The Mario games are well known for their charm and at times their beauty. See Galaxy, Sunshine, and Odyssey for evidence. It's fitting then that the most beautiful game in the series is titled Color Splash. When I was playing Color Splash, I couldn't help but look at the papery scenery in awe. It continues the tradition of a two-dimensional Mario trying to save the princess. The hook in this installment is that you must return color to Prism Island with your paint bucket partner, Huey. I don't know how I missed it, but Cappy was not Mario's first inanimate object turned partner in Justice. It also brings back the sticker element from Sticker Star, in that there are items that can be used in addition to the paint tool. Now, while Sticker Star got knocked for its sometimes frustrating gameplay, Color Splash's own gameplay is tainted by mundane gameplay. The game's beautiful, and the painting element is unique enough. At times, it feels a bit cookie-cutter. There is a slight reward for combat now. After each fight, you will get more points that can be used to upgrade your hammer, but that's it. It has the same problems as Sticker Star, but does some things better. The soundtrack, especially the battle theme, are excellent compared to Sticker Star's subpar soundtrack. Now, I have talked before about there not being new scenery in the past couple games, and Color Splash definitely isn't a beacon of uniqueness for new areas. But the environments are so beautiful that it almost gets a pass. Imagine how much better it would have been with some new creative biomes. I don't really have much more to say about Color Splash. It's a Sticker Star 2.0, and while being better, it isn't something that will go down in history as a masterpiece. Not even close.
Paper Mario Color Splash was a pleasant surprise. Granted, Sticker Star set expectations astronomically low, to the point where reactions to this game's announcement were analogous to the Diablo Immortal backlash.
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
But this game was better than most people were expecting. We may not have gotten the old Paper Mario back, but what we got was decent. Not great, but decent. The levels were creative and had you visit them in a non-linear order, which I was not expecting, but I did enjoy. The humor was astounding. Seriously, this game makes jokes you would never expect in a Mario game, or really any Nintendo game. The characters were also memorable. At least, they had memorable personalities. Unfortunately, the artists couldn't be bothered to give the Toads unique designs like in Thousand Year Door. On the flip side though, their work on the environments paid off. Seriously, they are the paper concept fully realized. What ultimately kills this game for me though, is the battle system. This game's battle system is worse than Sticker Star's. Sure, storing cards isn't as cumbersome as storing stickers, but everything else just takes way too long. Here's what you have to do every time you attack. First, you scroll through the many cards you likely have. Then, you select the card. Then, you hold the card to paint it in. Then, you swipe it up to the TV screen. Then, you perform the action command, and then you attack. Jeez, you think that's enough steps? And keep in mind, you're going to be doing this a lot, because unlike Sticker Star, you actually do level up from battles here. So have fun with this super repetitive battle system. It's half the game.
Superstar Saga is a huge throwback classic for me and was actually where I got it all started. This is one of the first times we see the brothers step out of the traditional Mushroom Kingdom background, and in this adventure, they went to the Bean Bean Kingdom. The story was unique and dynamic, with many parts of the story being able to give you a chuckle or two. The introduction of Cackletta actually held the blueprints to a future series, as her minion Fawful would have a major role in the future games. This was amazing character development for me. This is definitely a game to remember, but better storylines are to come in the future.
Number 9, Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battle. This game is not developed by Nintendo, but by Ubisoft. And Ubisoft... well, they don't have the best track record. However, they didn't disappoint with their XCOM-style Mario & Rabbids crossover. They seemed like it was doomed to fail. Rabbids games aren't exactly, good, and definitely not even close to being RPGs. But Ubisoft, somehow made it work. It starts with the Rabbids getting brought into the Mushroom Kingdom, and them causing havoc. And you just go through the world competing in these battles, which often require a lot of strategy. So overall, this is a surprisingly fun game, and if you have a Switch, get this game.
Partners in Time is the forgotten child of the original 3 Mario and Luigi games, to the point where the poor thing didn't even get a 3DS remake. Now, that's not to say its reputation is undeserved. Don't get me wrong, it is a good game, but it's definitely the weakest of the 3. The babies don't really add much to the combat, the areas seem to drag on for too long, the special attack system was dumb, the game uses the touchscreen a grand total of once, and maybe it's just me, but I felt like the regular enemies had way too much health. Outside of that though, this game's pretty good. The bosses were pretty creative, and I like the fact that EGAD had a major role outside of Luigi's Mansion. But the best part about this game is the atmosphere. Just about everything in this game feels foreboding. The Shrooms aren't trying to take over the Mushroom Kingdom. They've already done it. And you get to see just how dire things are everywhere you go. I'd say this is the darkest Mario game, but that title would go to the next entry.
Oh man, I can smell the controversy already. Color Splash over Superstar Saga, bro? You're insane! No, listen, hear me out. For some reason, even though Color Splash is essentially an improved version of Sticker Star, I fell in love with this game. Nintendo still needs to get back to the good old days of Paper Mario, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. The comedy in this game is my favorite in this series, hands down. I actually laughed out loud on so many occasions, as the jokes sometimes surprised me with what Nintendo was allowed to get away with. The bosses, even though as they were Bowserlings again, were genuinely fun to fight, and the music in this game is exceptional. I mean, have you even listened to Black Bowser's Castle theme? No, stop. Pause the video, go listen to Black Bowser's Castle theme, and then come back. Tell me what you think. If it wasn't for the over-reliance on things, items, and the card battle system, this game could have harmonized better with the public.
Number 8, Mario and Luigi Dream Team. Now, we're getting into fantastic games. Dream Team is a really fun game. It takes the Mario and Luigi series to a new perspective, and the Dream Worlds are a breath of fresh air for the franchise. And those dream battles. Someone at Nintendo deserves a promotion for those. The dream abilities are really fun, and especially to use them in combat. Part of being in a dream means that the final fight may be a fight where Luigi becomes a giant and you fight a giant enemy. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's something else that was in Bowser's Inside Story. You can even turn your 3DS to the side like in Bowser's Inside Story. Let's talk about the story now. You go to the Pilo Island, where you do have some of your typical Mario locations mixed in with some new places. Luigi goes to a castle and ends up falling asleep on a pillow that gives him the ability to have the previously mentioned dreams. The main villains are Bowser, who needs no introduction, and Antasma. He wants to cause destruction to the Pilo civilization and wants power. Antasma is no fawful, but is definitely an interesting villain. There really aren't too many flaws, except for the way too long tutorial, but the following games are just better.
Everything I have to say about Super Paper Mario, I recently said in my top 10 games I love and hate. Go watch that video if you want my full thoughts. I know it's a shameless self-promotion, but I really don't feel like repeating myself.
Another throwback classic here with the Paper Mario game that started it all. With the first introduction of partners and a simple yet satisfying battle system, Paper Mario 64 was easily able to win the hearts of gamers everywhere. The main antagonist was once again Bowser, but the overwhelming and dynamic amount of supporting characters helped push this issue away. Every chapter kept me on my toes to see what would happen next, and the game was overall an enjoyable experience, even with the stupid kid Junior Trooper showing up every 10 minutes.
Number 7, Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. Wait, before you get out your pitchforks and torches, just listen. I did enjoy Inside Story and thought it was a great game, but I just liked the other RPGs better. It built upon the classic Mario and Luigi formula by making Bowser a playable character, and having Mario and Luigi be inside Bowser in 2D sections doing minigames that would help Bowser on the outside. And the soundtrack is amazing, and has the second best final boss theme in any Mario RPG. We'll get to number 1 later. I don't have any major complaints, except the carrot minigame. which I cannot express in words how much I hate. But it does balance things better than Partners in Time, which is a plus. But when comparing the two, I just personally like it better.
I know what you were all thinking when you heard the rumors about this game. You all probably thought it was going to suck, didn't you? I, on the other hand, wasn't so quick to judge. Reason is, I played Rabbids Go Home and loved it. Honestly, I even prefer it over this game, but that's beside the point. Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle certainly is a strange beast. The visuals are great, and while not as good as Breath of the Wild or Odyssey, still did a pretty good job of showing off what the Switch was capable of. I like just how insane the overworld looks, and I absolutely adore the bizarre designs of all the different Rabbids, both the enemies and your allies. The gameplay is also surprisingly deep. This is a tactical RPG that gives you a ton of options for movement, as well as plenty of different weapons and a good deal of abilities that are unlocked through a pretty in-depth skill tree. Unlike most games though, this skill tree lets you reset if you feel you've spent your points wrong. I only have two issues with this game. One, there really are a lot of needless rules for crafting your team that I feel discourage experimentation. Really? I have to have Mario on my team? Great, so that leaves 2 slots to choose between 7 characters. And 2, this game is hard. Like, really hard. There are some video game genres where I can enjoy a good amount of challenge. RPGs are not one of them. I hate having to sit through turn after turn, watching myself getting beaten over and over again. But that's just me. If you like challenging tactical RPGs, you'll probably love this game.
Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle without a doubt was my biggest surprise yet. Hearing the rumors about a Mario game in the style of XCOM and with Rabbids didn't really please me much, but man was I wrong. The quick tactical thought up attack plans and the final turns of your battle with your team members was the greatest feeling ever. Every match I ended up dying felt like it was entirely my fault and my fault only, as I could have planned better. With the many different characters and weapon loadouts to choose from, the customizable options and upgrades seemed endless. The story, although wasn't as long or intense as others in the RPG series, but did have a unique and surprising twist at the end.
Number 6, Super Mario RPG. I can almost guarantee this would be higher if I played it when I was a kid and had all those nostalgic memories, but I didn't. And I still really enjoyed it. This is where Mario RPGs started after all. This was really the first Mario game to have an actual story, and Squaresoft did a great job with it. We got some new characters that would become fan favorites like Geno. The battling system, while arguably a little outdated, still holds up, and the overworld feels familiar, but also completely new. There isn't much to say about Super Mario RPG that hasn't been said already, but it is a must-play for any Mario RPG fan, and I wish I could make it higher on the list, but I personally enjoyed the next games a little more.
Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga is a weird game. In fact, it might just be the weirdest game on this list. I know I just talked about Mario and Rabbids, and the fact that that game exists certainly is weird, but the game itself isn't as weird as this. I don't know why, but just about everything in Superstar Saga has an off-the-wall, insane feel to it, and I think that's what helps it stick out so much. Every area of the Bean Bean Kingdom feels creative and unique, as do the many bosses in the game. Seriously, I think this game might have the most bosses out of any game on this list. The interaction between the bros gameplay-wise is the best the series has had. I'm kinda disappointed the hand attacks never came back in any of the future games. The villains are also pretty good. Caclette is enjoyable enough, Fawful was good enough to inspire my username, and the game manages to have a good back and forth between the heroes and the villains having the upper hand, rather than just having the villains be in control until the end. It makes it so you never really know what the game's going to throw at you next. Also, Peasley was memorable, and Popple made a good recurring antagonist. I don't think any other Mario & Luigi games have quite captured the insanity of Superstar Saga, and I'm fine with that, because we'll always have this one to come back to.
As far as nostalgia favorites go for me, this is my favorite. Partners in Time gave me everything I wanted from a Mario RPG, at least story-wise. I always wanted the Mario universe to cross over with some sort of alien life, and they finally did it. To have the evil shrooms invade the Mushroom Kingdom felt like a real threat. I mean, Princess Shroob literally took Peach's castle for herself. This also introduced 4-player gameplay controls with the addition of Baby Mario and Luigi, which actually made the game a lot tougher for one person to manage 4 heroes at once. The ending is what took the cake for me because you find a crazy and twisted turn with Princess Shroob that leads into an epic 4-part battle.
Number 5, Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. In this installation, Mario and Luigi travel through time to visit the past Mushroom Kingdom to save Princess Peach. Well, to be clear, Mario and Luigi aren't alone. They escort their baby selves as well, and the 4 use their unique abilities to solve puzzles and fight. They probably would have named the game Mario and Baby Mario and Luigi and Baby Luigi Partners in Time, but they would have had to make the game cases bigger to fit it all on the spine. Anyway, this game made excellent use of the time-traveling plot device and had great characterization. The gameplay, while similar in many ways to its prequel, still changes a lot, so it doesn't feel too similar. The boss fights are some of the best in the series. I know some of you may disagree, but we do have to talk about an issue that didn't bother me as much, but it's still a pretty widespread issue: the grind. You do have to backtrack to be powerful enough to beat some of the later enemies and bosses, which can be frustrating. But it's an RPG. But the rest of this game is just so amazing that I couldn't put it any lower on the list.
Out of every game on this list, Paper Mario is where my memory is haziest. That's not because it's unmemorable, it's just been a while since I've played it. This game introduced me to the classic Paper Mario formula, which really should have lasted more than 2 games considering how good it was. The game has a good sense of humor and looks great by N64 standards. The battle system was also pretty enjoyable. I like how the game has low stat totals for everything. That way, you can better strategize because you'll know just how much damage your attacks will do. The badge system was also a really creative alternative for how most RPGs deal with gear. The party members, while not as fleshed out as in Thousand Year Door, were still pretty memorable and fun to use. Despite the fact that most of the chapters followed the typical new Super Mario Bros. Themes for their basic design, the chapters themselves are really fleshed out and unique. I found each one of them memorable in their own way. It's a real shame that I never beat this game. It's not like I didn't want to. My Wii broke down when I was in the middle of Chapter 7, and I didn't feel like re-downloading it. Who knows, if Nintendo ever gets around to making a virtual console for the Switch, I'll probably give it another try.
Now, as I enter my final 4, it gets really tough for me to put one of these games over the other, because they're all so good. Dream Team is a perfect example of how a series can be just as good 3 games in. Dream Team bumped the graphics up beautifully to add a sort of 2.5D effect and really make the game stand out on the 3DS hardware. The story was once again epic, having the bros travel a new world being Pilo Island and traversing both the real world and Luigi's dream world. I know, trippy, right? With the combination of Bowser and the new antagonist Phantasma, there was a really good story with great gameplay to match. The giant Luigi battles are literally a gift sent straight from the heavens, as the last one with Bowser, which was one of the most cinematic, intense boss battles in any Nintendo game to date. Please try to change my mind. Also, the music pops off in this game too. The boss battle theme, an example of a definite inclusion on my BGM playlist.
Number 4, Paper Mario for the N64. This was the game I mentioned earlier when I said I found it funny that we were starting to dive into the 3D world, and all of a sudden, we were regressing to a flat existence. As a younger person, I didn't really realize how novel it was that they incorporated the typical Mario experience with a more involved RPG experience. Being older now, I realize how impressive it is that the game has aged so gracefully. I will chalk that up to the simplified but charming style the game created. This is the game that started it all and built a solid foundation. The game takes a familiar world, the Mushroom Kingdom, and introduces the new style and mechanics of a Mario made of paper. It's not necessarily 2D. If you've played the games, you know how seriously Nintendo takes the paper concept. It's incorporated into the art, style, the gameplay, and also the humor. Something else this game introduces are partners, which would be a staple for the original trilogy. Well, if you count pixels as partners. Each one is given a personality, and special abilities that are needed to progress through the game, and help in fights. New locations are introduced such as the Toy Box, Shiver City, which is very different than the typical snow levels, Flower Fields, and Dry Ruins to name a few. There aren't really any major problems with the game, even though it is the first home console Mario RPG. And the fact to this day that it doesn't look bad also says how much work the developers put into the game.
Mario & Luigi Dream Team is the first of many Mario & Luigi games on the 3DS. And if you ask me, this one's the best. I know there's something about that statement that's probably making you scratch your head, and believe me, we'll get to that. But not right now. This game came out during Nintendo's Year of Luigi, and it shows. The main gimmick here is that Mario could travel inside of Luigi's dreams. While he's there, he's helped out by a dream version of Luigi who can manifest in plenty of unique forms that make for some interesting puzzle solving. The dream worlds look mesmerizing, and the real world areas are also pretty creative and appealing. Despite the fact that the game has a notable lack of Fawful, it still has a good deal of memorable characters. The boss lineup here might just be the best in the series, most notable of which are the giant battles, which have been significantly improved since Bowser's Inside Story. My only issue with this game is the fact that all of this greatness comes sandwiched between some pretty bad stuff. What I mean is, while I love most of this game, the beginning and ending both suck. The ending, because the final area is really long, annoyingly laid out, and beyond uninspired design-wise. The beginning, on the other hand, has the most unbearable tutorials I've seen in any game that isn't Kingdom Hearts 2. Despite those two major flaws though, this is still a wonderful game.
Coming in at number 3, I chose Super Paper Mario. This was another controversial game at the time as it took out all the elements we came to know and love from the Paper Mario games, but at the same time, became something great in my eyes. The game is pretty much just a 2D side-scroller with the occasional 3D segments, but man, the story. For a Mario game, the writers at Nintendo did not hold back at all. The story hits hard with the players and makes you actually feel for the events that are taking place. I mean, every setting is vastly unique with a wacky and unique plotline in every chapter. You team up as Mario, Luigi, Peach, and even the Koopa King himself to take down an even bigger threat in this game, being Count Bleck and his crew. The emotional roller coaster this game and its characters takes you on will leave you thinking about the game forever. And let me warn you now, the ending will pull at the heartstrings of even the toughest of men, so get the tissues ready.
Number 3, Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. In our minds, this game, the first Mario & Luigi game, is the gold standard in the series. In this game, the brothers venture into the Bean Kingdom to fight Cackletta and Fawful, who stole the Princess Peach's voice and replaced it with explosives. It was a departure from the similar Mario games of the past. You could control the two brothers independently or have them work together to perform special actions. It has a rich storyline, I'll try not to spoil too much, in which you work with Bowser at times and battle Bowser at times, as well as Cackletta, Fawful, Popple, and more. The characters are all carefully built, and it's representative to the care given to every aspect of this game. There was so much loving attention to detail, excellent cameos, and delightful self-aware humor. This is not a difficult game, well, besides the final boss, but it just has so much creativity poured into it. I'd argue more than any other Mario & Luigi game that would come after that I believe it is the best Mario & Luigi game, even though it's the first.
Each game in the Mario & Luigi series, after Superstar Saga, has its own unique character added to the battles. Partners in Time has the babies, Dream Team has Dreamy Luigi, Paper Jam has Paper Mario, and Bowser's Inside Story has, well, Bowser. And out of all of them, I'd say that Bowser is the best addition. I know this is far from the first time Bowser's been playable in an RPG, but this is easily the best. He plays so differently from the bros that it gives his battles an entirely different feel. Mario and Luigi tend to fight enemies that are weaker but more plentiful, while Bowser's enemies are fewer but stronger. The way they interact is also really unique. Bowser does things that change the environment in his body that allow the bros to progress. Mario and Luigi go through various mini-games to power Bowser up and allow him to complete various tasks. And there are plenty of battles that utilize all three characters. Aside from that, there's the fact that Fawful is the main villain of this game. which is certainly a plus. Also, this game probably has my favorite soundtrack and enemy designs in the Mario & Luigi series. But now I know what you're thinking. This is my favorite Mario & Luigi game. Why did I say that Dream Team was my favorite on the 3DS? After all, this game had a remake on that system. Well, not only are this and Dream Team pretty close together in terms of quality, but I honestly think the remake was worse than the original. The soundtrack, aside from the 2 new boss themes, was a downgrade. I honestly thought the art style looked inferior, and there were just a bunch of little things that were made worse. At least it fixed the tutorials and stopped making you use the microphone. Honestly, that makes me think Dream Team needed the remake more than this, because there really wasn't much that needed fixing here.
For number 2, we have Bowser's Inside Story. To me, this was the peak and the pinnacle of Mario & Luigi games. The story was phenomenal, the music was amazing, the gameplay, you get where I'm going with this. Not only could you play as Mario and Luigi, but for the first real time, you got to play as the Koopa King, Bowser. The smooth transition between the characters was so clever. Whatever Bowser did in the outside world led to crazy anomalies within Bowser's body for the bros to handle. The giant Bowser battles were also always a lot of fun, even though Dream Team did it better. For me though, there is one word that sums up why this game was just so good. Fawful. Remember that minion I talked about earlier from Superstar Saga? Well, he's here. For years throughout the previous games, he has been scheming his way not just to rule Peach's castle, but Bowser's as well. The character lead up and just the pure intensity of his actions made him easily one of the greatest video game villains in history. He actually probably came the closest out of all the baddies to succeeding. Take notes, Bowser.
Number 2, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door for the GameCube. The Thousand-Year Door was the first sequel to Paper Mario 64. It was universally well received. The most common critique I've heard for the game, however, was that it didn't do a lot to differentiate itself from its predecessor. What it was praised for most, conversely, was what differentiated it from Paper Mario 64, its story. It had the most robust plot, including really enjoyable NPCs, and overall, really humorous writing. Thousand-Year Door also differentiated itself from some of the other games in the series in its combat. The Thousand-Year Door also has you battling in front of a crowd, which can help you, either by throwing items at you, or hurting you by attacking you. New abilities are introduced, such as being able to turn into a paper airplane. Overall, what makes Thousand-Year Door great is what made the original great. And some extra bonuses like more creative areas and a better story. And my personal favorite chapter is when you're on the train and you have to solve a mystery. That is just the best chapter in any Mario RPG whatsoever, and I don't know how anything like it could be recreated to that magnitude. If you don't have a GameCube or an original Wii with the GameCube controller ports, then buy one so you can experience this masterpiece of an RPG.
Hello everyone, I represent someone on the Game Domain Discord who is very vocal about their opinions on Sticker Star. My name is Tooterp and I'm gonna read whatever they have to say. Paper Mario Sticker Star, where creativity went to die. Even as a 10-year-old, I knew just from watching the trailer of Sticker Star that something was wrong. I had just completed the original 3 Paper Marios on my Wii and was looking forward to Mario's next big adventure. I had just completed the original 3 Paper Marios on my Wii and was looking forward to Mario's next leap big adventure in the beloved RPG series. It couldn't possibly be that bad. What I got was a permanent marker stain on my heart. Its flaws are immediately apparent as soon as the game boots up, as if Mario himself is trying to warn you to turn back, but it's too late. You are greeted to the sorriest excuse for a title screen ever conceived by man. It is devoid of any personality whatsoever, compared to the previous 3 games, which had a title screen made of the characters and the enemies you'll face. Sticker Star has a blank background. Even if there was an interesting title screen filled with charm, there would be no characters to fill it with. That's right, Paper Mario Sticker Star, an RPG associated with the series known for its original characters, there is completely and absolutely no one. The Mayan calendars predicted the end of the world in 2012. Could this be what they were worried about? It only gets worse from here, guys. Upon selecting a file, you begin your journey of questioning self-worth.
By process of elimination, you probably already figured out what my number 1 is. I'll give you a hint, I've never played Super Mario RPG. That's right, My favorite Mario RPG is Puzzles & Dragons Mario Edition. This game is I can't say that with a straight face. It's Thousand Year Door. The original game may have introduced the Paper Mario formula, but Thousand Year Door perfected it. Everything is improved here. To start with, this game might just have my favorite battle system in an RPG. It keeps the basic skeleton of the original and builds on it. Instead of a handful of action commands that get repeated, just about every attack has its own unique action command to deal with. Not only that, but these battles take place on a stage, where the audience can affect the battle by refilling your special attack meter, giving you items, and throwing stuff at you. Not to mention, there are also moments where elements of the stage will randomly affect the battle, making things that much more interesting. The partners were also a step up. Sure, there were technically fewer of them, but they all had much more fleshed out personalities and more unique abilities in battle. The overworld of Rogueport is also really great. It provides just the right balance of convenience and exploration, while still giving plenty of things to do. The humor is also a step up. The first game was funny, but this one's hysterical. Where this game shines the brightest, however, are the chapters. Each chapter tells its own self-contained story, each with its own memorable characters. Seriously, I would argue this game has the most memorable cast of characters in any Mario game. It's not just story that makes the chapters great either. The locations all feel completely unique. With a few exceptions, each chapter feels really new and different. The best part of the chapters, though, is the gameplay. Each one has you doing something different. There's one where you command 100 smaller creatures, like in Pikmin, one where you work your way up the ranks of a fighting ring, and even one where you solve mysteries on a train. I am Dafawfulizer, and it really is a shame that we didn't get another Paper Mario game like this. Oh wait, that's right, I'm not closing out the video this time. On to the next person then. Bye!
I think it's safe to say that Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door is like a national treasure at this point. It is easily one of the most loved and adored Nintendo games of all time, and for a good reason, so you could expect this game to be my number one. The Thousand Year Door took everything from the first game and bumped it up to 1000. The story is unique and incredibly deep, the gameplay is once again simple, yet perfect, and the partner characters are all fleshed out and detailed to a crisp. And yet again, the music is so wonderful. 2 words, Petal Meadows. From the antagonist of the Shadow Queen to the unique chapters of Glitzville, this game does everything right. I literally have to go off script here just to tell you how much I feel for this game. Every single chapter feels like an individually wrapped up story that Nintendo gave us handcrafted. It feels like every chapter is a piece of a brand new game. You can tell that the music pieces were scripted and wrote and performed in such beauty. There is nothing, and I mean really nothing, quite like Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door that you can find from Nintendo's Mario history. And that's why if we could only see something along the same lines from Nintendo today, I think everybody will learn to appreciate Paper Mario more.
Taking the top spot is Super Paper Mario, originally for the GameCube, then ported to the Wii. This is a very unpopular opinion, and Super Paper Mario is not for everyone, but just hear me out. Super Paper Mario continued the paper style laid out by other games in the series, but the similarities start to decrease from there. This game feels almost like a traditional Super Mario side-scroller, not so much the three-dimensional movement allowed by the other games in the series. Speaking of 3D, Super Paper Mario's distinctive gameplay mechanic, or one of the two, is your ability to switch back and forth between 2D and 3D, kind of like the transition between the 2 dimensions in Odyssey to solve puzzles or avoid enemies. I liked it because it felt like we were seeing traditional Mario games from a new angle. And it often felt rewarding for making the switch to avoid enemies that definitely would have killed me in the past. The other mechanic was switching players. Each of the playable characters, Peach, Bowser, Luigi, and, well, Mario, has special traits that allow, and sometimes require, you to switch between players to solve problems or to clear areas. Most of the time, you'll probably stick with Mario, but having the ability to switch makes for a more fun change in pace. It's a story-rich game as well. That's a positive for me, but I have heard people complain about how much text there was to read and or click through. Much like the Thousand Year Door, I enjoyed the story, as I'm not the type to really enjoy just playing through a game. Remember when I said it's an unpopular opinion to say Super is better than other Paper Mario games as well? Well, what's not unpopular is saying that Super Paper Mario has the best story in any Mario game, and even better than a lot of other Nintendo games. Nintendo did something unique and didn't just have cutscenes to explain what was going on. In between chapters, there would be text boxes that explained some of the events that occurred before the game. And if you're like many people, you may have just skipped through these. But if you're interested in the story, didn't. Now, let's talk about the soundtrack. I'm gonna say it now, and feel free to disagree with me in the comments, but I think Paper Mario is the best soundtrack of any Mario RPG, and that's just saying something. Just listen to the Gloam Valley theme, the Castle Bleck theme, the Sammer's Kingdom theme, the Brobot Battle theme, and especially the Ultimate Show. The songs mesh modern Mario music with retro style music, and they could not have done it better. Time to talk about all the secrets and optional content. There are 4 extra pixels that you can unlock that aren't needed to beat the game, but do have benefits such as barrier and running faster. There are 2 pits of 100 trials, one in Flipside and one in Flopside. For a relatively easy game, these will test your patience. You have to go through 100 different rooms of enemies, find a key, and then move on in a limited amount of time. Outside of that, there are arcade machines, enemy cards, stories, and more. Super Paper Mario represents the old and new in Mario games. The block key characters mixed with the more modern-looking characters, the retro modern music and 2D gameplay, and 3D gameplay. This game is just amazing, so please give it a try if you haven't yet. This has been mine, Dafawfulizer's opinions on the Mario RPGs. Big thanks to all of them for helping out, so be sure to check out their channels. Be sure to join our Discord, where you can talk about more Mario RPGs. Thanks for watching, peace!